All right, welcome back, Coyotes, to another episode of the Coyote Podcast. I am joined here today with some very special guests. I have Gavin Salazar right here directly to my left. I have Mrs. Hilton joining us from the high school. Along with her two leadership students, we have McKinley Binkley and Shyla Zamora. Welcome, guys. So we are getting into today's episode, really focusing on leadership and activities on our campuses. I am the leadership teacher and activities director at the middle school. Mrs. Hilton is the leadership teacher and activities director at the high school. And I'm going to let her kind of give some of her experience and talk about that a little bit. Go ahead.
Awesome. Thank you. I have been teaching leadership for the last 11 years at the high school. My experience before that, I was really involved in leadership when I was a DMS student as well as a DHS student. So having different roles, wearing different hats, both as a student and as a teacher.
Now, did you do leadership every single year as a student?
I did.
You were able to?
I did, every single year.
Starting which year?
Sixth grade.
Sixth grade? I'm just curious because obviously Mrs. Hilton is my sister, for those of you that don't know. I don't know if I mentioned that. But I kind of followed along in her footsteps. But I vaguely recall being like a fifth grade representative. Oh. Did you do that?
Okay, so my fifth grade year was one of the only years in Denair history that fifth grade was a part of the middle school. So
fifth grade was a part of the middle school?
Fifth grade was a part of the middle school.
That's
It was 1 year in like Denair history where
you guys were the guinea pigs.
We were middle school students.
And you failed and they went back.
Yes. And then they went back to 6th, 8th. So fifth grade, I don't remember if we were even allowed to be a part of leadership. Maybe it was like where you would come in at a lunch meeting every now and then,
right.
But it wasn't, holding a position or having a class period.
Right. So I remember.
So that for sure starting 6th grade.
Got it. So starting 6th grade. I remember 5th grade, so my leadership experience as a student as well. I was also a member of the leadership class, I think every year that I had an opportunity to be. I think it started in 5th grade where I was like a 5th grade representative. There was like 4 of us, and I think we went once a month to a meeting, and we just kind of sat in the back of a classroom. Like, I thought we were important, But, 6th grade, then we started the leadership program. I went through 7th and 8th grade. I was a student body vice president for both 8th grade and my senior years, rally commissioner my junior year. What about you? What titles did you have as a student?
ASB president my 8th grade year, and then rally commissioner, and we had prom commissioners back then, my junior year, and then senior year ASB president again.
Right on. Well, I don't want to just focus on the adults at the table because we are so fortunate enough to have some students join us as well. So we're going to kind of go down the line. You just introduce yourselves, tell us how long you've been a part of leadership, and then any titles that you guys might have held in the position. We'll start with Gavin.
My name is Gavin Salazar. I've been in leadership for 2 years now, and I am a multi-video commissioner. It's my first year having the title.
There you go.
Hi, my name is McKinley Binkley. I kind of forgot about the 5th grade thing, actually, until you said that. But I did, like, the one lunch thing.
Right on.
Yeah, I didn't get a position, but it's fine. And then I was just a representative for 7th and 8th grade, because 6th graders couldn't be in leadership my 6th grade year. And then my freshman year, I was a representative at the high school. And then sophomore year and junior year, I was the ASB secretary.
Very nice. Shyla?
Hi, my name is Shyla. I started in leadership my 8th grade year, and I ran for president, and I got it. And then my freshman year, I was just representative, and then my sophomore year, I became spirit commissioner.
Very nice. Yes. So cool that I kind of have you guys here too, because I was also both McKinley and Shyla's leadership teacher when they were in middle school. It's funny that you mentioned you kind of never really had a position in middle school. Mm-hmm. However, you are one of our founders of our monthly video program. So we have our Coyote Chronicle, which now Gavin is in charge of. He's an anchor of the Coyote Chronicle. And fun fact for the viewers out there, McKinley, it started with you and Emma Aguiar, right?
Oh my God.
And then I think Allie Cherry moved into that position as well.
Okay, so my best friend Emma had this a really weird like light bulb moment one day. It was in like the middle of the year.
Yeah.
And she's like, "No, we're gonna do it, but I'm not gonna be in it." My literal best friend did not even do it with me. So then that's when Allie did it with me.
That's right. Yeah, you guys had this idea. We're like, let's do a newscast, right?
Yes.
And that's what kind of sparked the idea behind the Coyote Chronicle that you all know and love.
Yes.
And we've been doing it ever since. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
goodness.
And now Gavin's in that seat. So kind of a full circle moment. Pretty cool. All right, so kind of talking about, students that we've had in leadership, and I know Gavin mentioned that he's been in leadership 2 years. He's a 7th grader. He got in as a 6th grader. When I take in 6th graders, I typically only have 4 representatives, so he was one of those lucky 4 to get in. This year, it's new. I only have 7th and 8th graders in my leadership class, and I have an entire 6th grade leadership class consisting of 25 students. It's a lot, but it's great. It helps get that message out to a lot more students, which is awesome. But it's always difficult to try to narrow down who we think deserves a seat in leadership, because there are high standards that we hold to students and that we want them to upkeep throughout campus and carry themselves a certain way. And it is a long process of vetting and figuring out, who deserves that seat. And there's always a lot of applicants, and it's a really hard job for both Mrs. Hilton and myself to narrow it down. So, Ms. Hilton, I want you to kind of just expand on the process of selecting students and what you look for, because we have some 8th graders tuning in, and you are already selecting your freshmen for next year, and I know several are applying. So what is it that you kind of look for in the selection process?
Good question. I always say that our leadership program is our heart and soul of our campus. So I need 28 students who are going to really drive that mission home. How can we make our campus feel inclusive to all students? So I need 28 that are excellent role models. I know that they're going to be leaders in the classroom, leaders on the playing field. They're going to be responsible and hardworking, trustworthy. We have a lot on our plates all year long as far as activities at the high school, and I need help, and I need 28 students that are willing to do the work.
Yeah, so trustworthiness, showing a good example and so forth. I agree. I look for the same thing. So a little bit of history about myself. I was a first-year teacher here, and I was not the leadership teacher at the time. And there happened to be an opening. They were trying to figure out a position for me, and I was like, you know what would be great? My sister does leadership at the high school. I have experience as a leadership student. I'm going to kind of follow in her footsteps yet again, and I'll take over the leadership program. And since I've done that, I've taken a lot of stuff from Mrs. Hilton about the selection process, the application process, and we have a meeting, we have an application that the kids have to fill out, kind of list those behaviors that are expected and what we expect from them, what they're going to show. Teacher recommendations definitely play a huge factor in that. And so I agree. The selection process I feel like is similar for the middle school portion of it as well. Now, but I'm curious what it's like on the other end of that, because we have some students here who have obviously been accepted. Throughout your experience of applying into leadership, what did you guys keep in mind? What do you think gave you a leg up that gave you an opportunity to be in the class? We'll start with Gavin right here to my left.
Well, I always was a positive kid. Growing up, I always wanted to, how do you say it? I always wanted to help others and be nice until I heard what leadership was. I was like, I would like to join this program and everything. It seems like a nice program, and I want to join the class. So I started my application. I wanted to help others. I wanted to spread positivity around and everything.
Very good, very good. And McKinley, what about you?
I think it's really important because I think at the high school, a lot of students do a lot of different things. And it's easy to kind of get carried away and act one way towards one teacher, one way towards another teacher, or even friends-wise. I think that's what's important, especially when we had a lot of kids applying and stuff. Is who's someone that's going to be the same person, same really good influence no matter what they do and stuff. And I think that's really important, especially in a leadership student. I think also being involved is a really big one, because you can't have a leadership program without students who are going to do it, no matter what it is. And I know we're the most outgoing and whatnot, but you can still be really quiet and still participate in everything. So I think that's what's really important.
I feel like a leadership student, you have to be able to balance being a leader but also a follower, because you're not going to be able to take charge on everything you do. Yeah. It's just, honestly, it's just everyone that's wanting to help out our school culture, just trying to do the best on everything. So, yeah.
Yeah, great. I think it's great that you guys mentioned everything that you mentioned. I think I agree with for sure. I love that McKinley mentioned, how you act and being the same person around every single person. That speaks to your character, right? We're looking for high character individuals in this class, and I think that's also really important to mention. Not everybody in leadership is super outgoing. I think that turns off a lot of students who might be interested in leadership, thinking I have to be this extrovert, I have to go out in front of the whole school, and that is not the case. I've had some very successful students in a leadership program who are more introverted, but they're workhorses. And you mentioned the time that it takes for leadership, right? It's not just the 50 minutes between bells. It is all the extra time that you put together outside of school to make these activities happen for the kids, because really that's what leadership is all about. We're planning activities to try to make school fun. That's the thing. We want school to be fun for kids to come and enjoy themselves and be a part of something, be involved, like you guys mentioned. So love those responses.
Yeah, I think it's this, like, we're memory makers. High school, sure, you're here to get an education, but it's more than that. If you want to make memories, we need to provide situations in which you can make those memories, and we want those memories to be, safe and fun and engaging and relevant and,
I love that. Memory makers. Hashtag it. I love it. Memory makers. I'm going to start using that. But I love that you mentioned making of memories. Because that is what we're doing, right? We're providing students with memories from middle school, from high school, things that they look back on. Since we're on the topic of memories, as a leadership student, what do you think is one of your favorite memories from high school leadership? Is there a rally that sticks out or something that you've done?
I think our junior year prom is a big one. I came in as a prom commissioner with some big ideas that I wanted to change things up. And so I did. I chose a brand new venue. We chose to have dinner at the event, which was new and exciting. I found a brand new DJ that we had never had before. And I got a lot of slack from that. Like, the seniors kind of hated on me a little bit because I was doing things that were different. And then it ended up being the absolute best dance of all time. And I just remember seniors at the end of that event, telling me, like, wow, we doubted you. And it was like, it was the best dance I had ever been to. And so I think that really sticks out as a moment of, taking something really difficult, and even though I was hated for it, and then delivering was really satisfactory.
Nice. I'm trying to think back of some of my memories from
Were you at?
leadership.
No, you weren't in high school yet.
Not yet. So actually, that brings one of my fond memories of leadership. And I talk a lot about getting out of your comfort zones. We talk about it in middle school leadership. I think it's really important for leadership students to be open to getting out of your comfort zones. And one of the first times, and one of my fond memories, was like one of the first times I stepped out of my comfort zone. And I happened to be a freshman in leadership, and my sister was a senior, and they were trying to plan a skit for a rally. Right, it was a Men in Black rally, so there was aliens involved and all this stuff. And I remember everybody in class, they wanted to do the skit where they interview an alien, and then the alien kind of like spazzes out or whatever. That was the skit. Yeah. And we couldn't find anybody to do it, and my sister kind of voluntold me. She's like, Clayton will do it. I was like, okay, so I'll do it. So I went out in front of the entire high school as a freshman, not really knowing anybody. And I remember being interviewed. I had a little fake alien seizure in front of the whole school, fell to the ground, and had somebody drag me around behind the curtain. And I remember getting up and being like, I can't believe I just did that. And then at the same time, I felt really like rejuvenated afterwards, feeling like,
because it was an awesome rally.
It was a great rally. I think that really speaks to it as well, planning really good events like you mentioned. I also really had a great memories at CATA. All the CATA dances and stuff, the conferences, even at middle school and the high school, those are a lot of fun too. So, but I'm curious, some favorite memories from our students. You guys are living them right now. But so Gavin, your 2 years, what do you think is your favorite memory?
I think my favorite memory is probably my 7th grade year this year, is recording my very first monthly video. I was like very like nervous and everything. I didn't know what to say, and like it was just amazing how I just like went with it.
Yeah. It's those moments of like self-perseverance, right? Where you doubt yourself and then you get it done. That's that overwhelming feeling of like, I did it, right? Yeah. And you guys rocked it. I did have quite a few bloopers, but it was great. Yeah. What about you guys? High school or middle school?
Okay. I think this year, my favorite memory this year was when we did the float building party before homecoming. A lot of fun, yeah. At first, we were like, okay, should we do it? Should we not do it? Because it was kind of late notice, I think, or something happened.
Is anyone going to show up?
Yeah, we were really nervous, and like not a lot of like outside of leadership kids showed up. But for the ones who did, like we worked really hard, but it was so much fun. And like we were there for probably like 30, 45 minutes, like afterward, like still doing floats. And Miss Hilton was like, go home. Like, and it was so much fun because like the camaraderie of like working with kids from your class and stuff. And I think that was the first time that we did like the floats, and it was like fun, not stressful.
Right on.
Yeah,
cool.
That was my favorite.
My best memory in leadership would have to be my 8th grade year, because I've always been like a shy kid, so it was kind of hard for me to like kind of branch out, and I just felt like meeting Mr. McDonald in like 7th grade and my first year being here at Denair, it was just, I don't know, it just felt like a cool experience. So I decided to put myself out there
And that you did.
And I saw this trend on TikTok to dress up as Pitbull, so
Oh, that's right.
I decided to do that for
That's
my
right.
campaign year, and it was just really nerve-wracking to like be in a video and me being bald as an 8th grader, but I just felt like it was just so amazing being able to put myself out there, and everyone just like really actually enjoyed the video.
I was in high school and I still got a sticker.
Oh yeah, it was so amazing.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
That was awesome. That's
That
one of my
was- that
favorite
was a good
campaign
one.
videos to
Yeah.
this date that I've seen. Yeah, and it's shocking to hear you say that you were once a shy kid, because clearly you can step out of your comfort zone, and you do so, and very well job. So now we talked about some memories from leadership. Now my question for us now, Mrs. Hilton, starting with you, what is the hardest part about being the activities director teaching leadership?
For me, it's juggling all the things.
It's a lot of things.
You know, we plan events, like we want to have homecoming, we want to have winter formal, but then we're also thrown into, oh, can you help with freshman information night? And, oh, DECA needs posters for testing week, which is great. We're excited to help with all of those events. But we do get, like, frazzled sometimes as far as, oh my gosh, are we getting everything done that needs to get done by the deadline? And sometimes it gets a little chaotic just with all the things that get thrown on us.
I would agree. I think I'd second that as being the hardest part, is just juggling all of the things, right? Like you mentioned, I'm living it right now. We are planning our Spirit Bowl next week. I got dress-up days. We got activities planned all week. We're doing testing at the same time. It's just trying to find a way to manage all the time and get everything done. I think there's also a stress to it involved when you're putting on activities. There's always a risk of failure. There's a risk that this won't work out. I think that's a lot of pressure that I think we as leadership class and students as well, that we all feel it together collectively. So I think that would be a hard part too. But students, from your guys' perspective, what is the hardest part, most difficult part about being in leadership?
I would say that the most difficult part about being in leadership is kind of like what you guys were saying, like the scheduling. You don't know, like if you want to plan this on this day, but like something might be going on, and like people might be gone and everything.
Yeah,
And it's
scheduling.
Like, yeah,
That's
It's
true.
a huge part of it, for sure. Looking at the calendar, and like we have all these ideas, we throw them at the board, and like, oh wait, that day doesn't work. That day doesn't work, right? Yeah, 100%. What about you guys?
I think at like the high school level, the hardest part about being leadership is like kind of receiving like the
I
backlash
was
of,
just gonna,
Oh,
I
yeah.
was gonna
oh my
mention
god,
that.
that rally was awful. Like, what are you guys doing? I think it's hard because it's like they don't understand like even to put that on how much it was like, and they're not giving the same energy back. I think last year and my freshman year that was like the biggest thing because the upperclassmen were like so unspirited. Like they gave no energy at all. So it makes anything that we do like 10 times harder to make it good.
Right.
But I think this year we've done a really good job at getting everyone involved to want to do it. But it's hard to do stuff and plan more things, especially like dances, when people don't go or they just be automatically like, oh no, it's not going to be fun. We're not going to do it. When it's kind of hard to change their minds about
Right.
that.
Yeah, the negative mindset towards activities, having to fix that. And I always tell my students, not everyone's going to like everything we do.
Yeah.
You know, we're always going to hear complaints, and that's okay. We have to think of the event as a whole and really, you know, highlight the things that are working and moving forward, because, you know, the negativity does bring you down a little bit.
Yeah.
I would say like the decision making, because no one like knows how hard it is to actually have to make certain decisions. Like, well, not everyone's going to be happy, so we have like different ideas, and we're just like having to split votes, and like not everyone sees that like leadership is not just like, oh, we're just planning dances and rallies. We have to overlook POs. We have to do so much other stuff.
Yeah, I love that this got brought up. I love that you mentioned the backlash, McKinley, and the lack of engagement and how difficult that is for us, because I think part of this podcast is breaking down walls and letting people see perspectives from my guests and, you know, the positions that we hold. And I think that is so important for our viewers to understand, is like all the work that goes on between these four walls to make a 30-minute rally happen, and how quickly kids can write it off as lame, right? And I think you guys mentioned it, and it's true. You're going to find what you look for, right? If I go into it with a mindset like this is going to be lame, this is not going to be fun, guess what? It's probably going to be lame and not fun. You know, I've done a little activity. I actually just did this with a student, and you tell them, okay, look around the room, find everything that's orange. Okay, and they look around the room, they find everything that's orange. You tell them to close their eyes. You're like, okay, close your eyes. Tell me everything that you saw that was green. And they can't do it, right? And that message is, you're going to find what you're looking for.
Yeah.
If you're looking for the negatives, you're going to find the negatives, where all these positives are happening for you, but you're not looking for them, right? So for our viewers, please have some grace on us. It is a hard job. We want to please everybody. We know that we can't. But
Do our best.
cut our leadership kids and our leadership team some slack, all right?
And if you're someone out there who is unhappy with the activities on the campus, put in an application. Be the
100%.
one to make the difference. If you think something's lame and boring, help. We will always take the help.
Yep.
We would love some new perspectives, some new ideas. But we can't do it
I don't
alone.
think we would
so.
ever intentionally plan something to
Bad,
be
Yeah.
lame.
right?
Yeah,
That's a
exactly.
good point. That's a
Yeah.
good point. That is not our goal.
But I love that you mentioned, fill out an application, right? If the kids want to sit here and say that, oh, something sucked. Okay, what are you doing to help fix it?
Yeah.
Don't be a part of the problem, be a part of the solution, right?
Yep.
So love that. Now, a lot of leadership is not only planning activities. A lot of it is also character development and, building people, the whole person, not just, I always refer to basketball, not just the X's and O's. It's like the whole person, right?
Yeah.
You're not just planning the activities. We are also developing you guys for the world and for society, so you guys can go on to be leaders in your positions. And a lot of that requires talking about empathy, kindness, responsibility, right? The list goes on and on, but we incorporate some lessons, I know my sister does as well, into our class. So my question for my students is, what is your favorite lesson that you've learned during your time in leadership?
I would say that my favorite lesson that I've learned is reading the Just Look Back book. No, wait, Just Look Up, I think.
Yep.
By Joe Beckman. Fail on. Like, if you look at that quote, fail on, you should realize that you're going to fail in life no matter what. Like, if you try your hardest, you're going to fail. But you have to learn from the mistakes you always made.
Right. I love that you mentioned that. Thank you, Gavin. Man, I knew we made a good call bringing Gavin on. So in my class, we read some books, and one of the books is from a motivational speaker that he's referring to. It's called Just Look Up, and in the chapter is actually called Fail On, and it's just tackling failure and understanding that failure is not something to run from, it's something to embrace. Don't say no fail, say fail on, right? And I love that. Yeah, that's a good section too of the book. What about you guys?
Okay, mine was actually a chapter of a book I read in both of your classes about the difference between confetti kindness and deep kindness.
I love that
was that
project.
your-
Yeah, I
Oh
love.
my
No, I
God.
love that project. though.
I
love
don't know what it was about it, but it made me way more intentional about how I talk to people. Not even just giving compliments, but just talking to them. Like, you need to make eye contact. You need to make them feel like they're being heard. Because it's one thing just to say, oh, good morning, but it's another thing to stop and talk to them and build a connection. I think that's my favorite part, and that has changed me as a person too, because now I'm way more outgoing in that way of giving someone my full attention and helping them feel like, wow, like, she really wanted to listen to me today. Like, she didn't just think my outfit was cute, but she, like, wanted to talk to me. And so
Love
I
that.
think that's changed my perspective about how people think about things too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. What about you, Shala?
Okay, my favorite lesson. I feel like we learn lessons every day because we're always doing something. So it might not just be like a lesson that Miss Hilton's teaching, but like little things matter. Like to the people that think just like, oh, editing a video or like not getting the recognition that they deserve, like just know like everyone sees you. Like everyone sees the little things you do. And I really love it whenever Miss Hilton, we have this thing called Coyote Cash. And she gives it out to you, even though you don't think like someone's watching you. It's just like a little shout out moment that I really love.
Yeah.
That was good.
Love that. How good does it feel to sit here and hear these kids talk about some
I
of the lessons
know,
we've
they're the
taught,
best.
right?
They're the best. Well, and I say too, I love our collab days. So we try our goal bi-weekly, every 2 weeks. We are meeting as a collective 7-12 now leadership team to work on teamwork skills and team building and character development and.
Yeah, and that's been
I think
a
that
huge
helps.
asset as far as like building that bridge from our middle school to our high school and developing that culture and having that culture bleed into the high school.
Yeah.
And I think you guys are starting to reap the benefits of that now too,
yeah.
especially with some of these middle school kids
it's
coming up.
It's
Definitely.
helping. Yeah, because it's definitely like underclassmen are really taking over like that high school. Like,
Good,
really
good. Shout out to the underclassmen. Keep
Yes,
it up. And
yes,
my
definitely.
middle school
keep
kids.
it up.
Yeah,
Keep it
yeah.
up.
And my middle school
Definitely.
kids watching understand like it's encouraged the involvement and everything that we want you to bring that spirit into the high school, and that's when you're going to get the most fun out of the job, right? Personally, for me, I think the most rewarding part about teaching in general would be leadership. I teach PE as well. I know Mrs. Hilton teaches math, But I think I speak for both of us, like teaching leadership is kind of where our passion is because of the answers that you guys just gave, right? The lessons that we're able to instill in kids that are going to carry them throughout their lives, right? So I think it's a wonderful program, and we're kind of wrapping up here. It's a wonderful program that we want more people to be involved in. Understand, we wish we could accept everyone. Trust me, I get like 80 plus applicants every single year at the middle school level. If I could teach those 80 kids this content, I think we would be in a much better place, for sure. Unfortunately, it's not within the realm of possibilities, but we do our best. And for those of you who are interested in leadership, we do have applications coming out soon, if they're not already out when this video is out. But just because you're not in the class, it is so important to understand you can still make a difference on campus. And I know that that's the message that Mrs. Hilton, you delivered to the high school kids when they're applying as well. Just because you don't hold a title, just because you're not in these four walls, doesn't mean that you can't make a change and make a difference on our campus. And we actually need you just as badly as we need the kids that are in the seats, right? Sure. All right. Well, I am just going to wrap it up right there. Thank you again to our guests. I know we have a couple high school students donating some time. They got practice today and other things going on. You know, it's high school. I get it super busy. Gavin, thank you for talking to your parents, having them let you stay late. And Mrs. Hilton, I know you're busy as well. So I appreciate you guys being here. And until next time, Coyotes, we'll see you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right.